Hello! Today we're going to be deep diving into Doflamingo. Not the leader, the matchup. We want to not lose so hard to Doflamingo as Belo. We're going to go through 4 games. The first one is how you can just step on Doflamingo. This is if you high roll and they don't, so there's not as much to learn from the first game. These are all high ELO. The last 3 games at the time of recording were played against the 10th ranked player on the sim, so an incredibly high end opponent. His berry, when this was still like one of the highest, was around 5 billion berry, and he's an incredibly good player. I don't know him personally, but he got that high with Doflamingo, and you guys will see he plays the game very well. He does win the best of 3 that we play out, but I don't have an ideal starting hand in any of the 3 matches. So you'll see what it takes in one of them to claw back to victory, and then in one of them I could have won, maybe, with slightly better luck. And then in one of them, I believe I don't make the best series of decisions. So we're going to deep dive into every single one of those, the decisions I make on a turn-by-turn basis, why I kept the hands that I kept. Yeah, it's going to be a very, very slow-moving video for every decision that I make is going to be explained. Because of that, let's get into it. Yeah, here I am talking about how I got inspired to do this video by a fellow Belo player. And I just happened to queue up to 4 Doflamingos in a row. Okay. I end up keeping this hand. I keep this hand because I am going second. In this matchup, generally they give you the curve that you want, and you give them the curve that they want. In very few Doflamingo games do I end up going first. I don't prefer going first either. It's essentially a my best versus their best scenario, and their card pool just has a card in law that they can abuse against our whole core strategy. We're going to continue. Obviously, I'm going to play out the Belo first. I was going to look for this 4-cost Ivankov. I don't need to anymore. I find 5-cost Ivankov. Stage would have been nice there. So, there is an argument to be made if I only saw one 5-cost Ivankov that I grab this stage there. I like to do that. I like to grab stage because I like to be able to find my answers. But I'm now currently in a position where I don't even need to filter for anything. I have everything that I want in my hand. The only 2 cards that I could potentially want outside of these are 4-cost Lindbergh and 2-cost Kuma. I have a 5-cost Ivankov to help me search for those as well. So I'm in a really strong position this game. I dropped both 1-drops. He didn't drop a 1-drop. I'm just going to take this. I have the counter. I can't use that trigger. Now from this point, the obvious decision is going to be to go hard at this 4-cost Weevil. He will try to save it for pressure's sake. I need it gone by the end of this turn no matter what, and I'm in a position to make that happen. So I play 4-cost Ivankov. I'm going to cheat out Karasu by pitching the Sabo because I have a 8-don play already. I cheat out the 4-cost Karasu, minusing the Weevil, and then I swing Betty into it, raise Max into it. If he saves it with both, I bottom deck Raise Max and just KO the Weevil. with my leader by swinging 5 into 2. And on the off chance that he ends up saving that as well, I'm in a very strong position. He, however, does not save it from this position. And then I swing 5 at face. The only thing to punish me there is Gravity Blade. They don't run very many of them. You have to hit them anyway, so feel free to swing. Especially in a position like this, where they have no characters on board. He's going to want to get rid of the Raise Max. So that is most likely where his leader swing will be going. A small part of my brain thought about saving it. Him bouncing my... So, in that situation, let me go back a little bit. Him bouncing my 4-cost Karasu allows me to just get it back on the field with my Ivankov's ability. He knew I grabbed the 5-cost, so he knew that the board was going to be full no matter what. It slows me down a lot more to lose my Ivankov. He does not send it back to hand, so it allows me to have a very strong turn this turn. I'm going to pick the Rusher because I only have 2 characters currently on board that I'm going to buff with my ability anyway. So I add him, and then I'll be able to swing 5, 6, 7, 8 while cheating out a Karasu, meaning that they are at 4,000 power. You pitch a 2K in that scenario because you already have 2 others, and Dragon is a way to finish the game next turn because I'm going to be on 8 Don. So even if he lost Shenanigans and kills a bunch of my board, I'm in a very, very strong position. He's going to 7 Don, and if I'm not mistaken, he ends up trying to go 5-5 into Inazuma, and I counter out of both of those because he's telegraphing a Gravity Blade play. There's the first 5. We give him the 2K because we're saving our characters on board because we're going for lethal next turn. He gives us another little cheeky 5. We give him that 2K. He Gravity Blades us. And now we just drop Dragon, and I go 7, 7, 8, 12. It's kind of a trap to use the 1-cost Belo Betty because it weakens 2 of your attacks. Swing with your characters first if you can. Swing low to high for sure. He counters out of this. The reason I was so aggressive in this scenario is because my pivot point here is if he countered out of that 8K, is I just go at Law. I go at Law because now he's going to 9 Don. I have 3 characters on board, unless he has a second Gravity Blade, and even if he has a second Gravity Blade, he can't touch my Dragon. But unless he has a second Gravity Blade, I have 3 characters on board, and he can't get rid of enough of them effectively and block her up enough to prevent me from going for game for the next turn. at least how I felt. Maybe there is an actual play line where he goes double boa. I mean, I had 3 life. I was in a very commanding position. I had the cushion to get that aggressive. He was cooked. He had a bunch of bricks in hand. I think I won that game with 3 life left. Yep, I won the game with 3 life left, so an absolute steamrolling of this. But that's not typical. I saw the nuts, and he didn't. So now we're going to find the next game, and it is a loss. It is a much harder... I'm not going to diss my opponents or anything like that. He had a bad hand, clearly. Multiple Jinbeis there really do a lot for him, and I don't think he saw any. So, not ideal start. We'll go back because I did mulligan. I choose to go second. I always like to go second. Bad hand. No 1-drop, no 2-drop. A very, very similar hand. Pass. There's nothing to do. There's nothing to talk about. So he was planning to bounce. I'm also now 100% certain that he has bounce law, and so I feel terrible. Anything I establish right now, because it's not 4 cost, or not higher than 4 cost, can just be bounced by law. So I play it because the alternative of not playing it is horrible. But from the jump, I'm in a horrible spot. Pudding is the most punishing thing in the world right now. I have 10 cards in hand. I get rid of the law because it's not an option. It is absolutely what I have to do right now. I can't try anything else. The fact that I only have 1 2K as well is also pretty unfortunate, because I would probably spend a large portion of my hand countering out, but to only have this many 1Ks, it feels like I'm going to spend too much of my hand countering out, which I still end up doing because pudding is incredibly punishing in this scenario. Oh wait, never mind, I just take it because I have to. If he had divided, I would have countered out of both. In this scenario, I feel like I need to pressure and turn my stuff sideways and make him feel like he's in a position to not win next turn. If he has pudding, he plays pudding, he just goes for it and he wins. Honestly, I'm not in a great spot anyway. I have 2 2Ks. I ended up playing the dragon just so I could have a 3rd attacker and I could turn multiple things sideways and pressure his face more so that he felt like if he didn't either win on crackback or take care of my board, I had the potential to win on my crackback. I have to de-incentivize him from going for lethal as much as I can. Yeah, it's a bad situation. Also, excuse me for not remembering 100% what goes on through these games. There are 4 of them, and I played them about 5 days ago. But they were all great games, and I wanted to use them as the teaching tool. Yeah, we're just going at this. You don't swing at all with the... unless he turned his bow sideways earlier, you don't swing with the Kuma just because he gets a free block off of it. He never turned his bow sideways, so we just don't swing with it, which is not bad. It's a little deterrent for him. He's like, oh, I want the free block, so I'll just... I counter out of this immediately. I live another turn. I hope he does attack my face so that I can play out the 7-cost Sabo. What I really, really would like to do, which probably won't happen, because he's gonna clean up my board. But what I would really like to do is go to 0 to play. Oh, and unless he goes full at... Yeah. So he goes face. I should take this to play 7-cost Sabo. Yep. Because I'm in no better or worse position for having played 7-cost Sabo in this scenario. But the rough part is I need to find a 3-cost Karasu to take full advantage of it. So I draw stage. The thought process going through with the Inazuma was, do I have lethal? Alright, grab the 2K because you have to. Still end up healing because you have to. But I essentially lost when I didn't find blocker Karasu. He needs to save this. Just take the 2 2Ks. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of as I mouse over his cards. That he just needs 2 2Ks out of those 7, or 2K, 1K, 1K, or 0-cost event. All of them work. He way over countered just to show me that he had it, and then I heal up. Him probably not recognizing that that's something that I could do. It doesn't matter what card I heal because it's not a blocker. The bad part about this is he has pivot points, and he goes for it here. I cannot take it. Blocker Karasu, depending on what he has in his hand, allows me to stay alive, but it doesn't. It actually doesn't. He had laws in his hand. So that was the scenario for... I tried to claw my way back. There were some answers in those situations, but it wasn't good. I started off in a bad spot, and my opponent took advantage consistently. We're running it back against the same opponent. I do end up keeping this hand. There's not a single counter in it. However, I have stage. So on 2, I play stage. I filter out stage. Depending on what I find, I find no counter. I play out my 1 cost. I feel okay because I have a Lindbergh. He doesn't telegraph that he has Law already. He has 4 characters on board. I do not have Ivankov. I have 3 5-cost Ivankovs in hand. I pitch one of them. Do not find 4-cost Ivankov, which I desperately needed. I don't have the breathing room to play Betty. So my hope is next turn. Yeah, my hope is next. I needed to alleviate some pressure off of the board. I could not have those 3 things swinging at me. Oh my goodness. Knowing that I had 1k counter in hand. So I literally have to take this. I get another brick. I can't even trigger it. He is still at 5 life. So I'm going into my 6-Don turn. Just horrible. I go there because I'm going to swing 6 at that, 8 at the... Yeah, 5 at Mihawk, 8 at Weevil, KO Weevil with Lindbergh. I'm not playing that Kuma. And, yep, he doesn't save it. If he saves this, yeah, he has the 2k. And now I filter out Ivankov to find a 2k. But he actually just can have lethal. He has lethal. Counter out to save it because this is the most vital card on my board right now. He's also telegraphing Gravity Blade. So I save it. I ultimately fully end up committing to saving it because I need a character on board. I need one. Pitch Karasu Blocker, gain Karasu Blocker. I'm planning on playing Dragon next turn anyway. Oh, I don't play Dragon. I ended up getting something that can help me. So yeah, this is me clawing my way back into this game. He probably thinks that he's just in an unlosable position right now, which he's not too far off. But I drop 7-cost Sabo, I heal up, I have 3k counter in hand and a blocker coming down on board, which means he has to have Bounce Law to have confirmed lethal right now. I counter out thinking that if he doesn't have Law or Perfume Femur, I'm fine. He had Law on top deck. So again, there was kind of an inflection point there where I could have started to turn things around if he didn't have the cards in hand he does, but this is a very high-end Dofi. He probably filtered for what he needed. What we're going to go over last, and the one that we're going to spend the absolute most time on because it is a victory, is against the same opponent. Guys, I have stage, so I keep. You don't just auto keep with stage, but I have a 2K. I can answer his Perona with Akuma. I have two Kuma. Go ahead and pitch it. In this scenario, I have a 2K, so I grab the Koala. We get a little breathing room in this game. As you guys can see, I still don't have an ideal start. It's not like this is amazing. However, I am in a position to clear his whole board right now. And so I take that I take that chance. I deploy Koala. I have another 2K in hand, so this is fine. I minus his sideways character so I can confirm swing into it and KO it. I then get rid of his Perona. What I just did was I limited the value of his Law substantially. He plays Jinbei into Law, and instead of getting back a Perona or a 2K, he gets back the Law. It's not an ideal situation, but he gives me back a 2K, and I am very, very lucky to get a Lindbergh trigger here. But you run the card. Eventually, you will get it as a trigger. I've been a big proponent of using the stage to gain card value. So in this scenario where I have two 1-cost Belo Betties, meaning that I am less likely to see this card for the rest of the game. Based off of what I've said in the past, I have been a huge proponent of getting the value generation. However, I have started running this 6-cost Sabo at a 1-of. And this 6-cost Sabo has come up so many times in a substantial way. It's about to do it again in this game. And just, I pick 6-cost Sabo over both Betties. I'm relatively healthy right now, so I'm free to cheat out my Karasu. Gonna go ahead and pitch 5-cost because I'm not gonna be playing it this game. My board is full enough. I know I don't know what he's gonna play next, but I know what my next play is. With what I have in hand and on board, I have a Koala, Karasu minus power on board, and 6-cost Sabo, which means that across two things, I can take care of 8,000 power, which is, in this deck, a threshold that two cards in tandem can commonly have together. You can have Perona and Sengoku with Jinbei or Law or Crocodile. No. You can have Sengoku or Perona with Weevil, Boa, but you can have Teach with the three that I mentioned previously in Jinbei, Law, and Crocodile. And would you look at that? Teach and Crocodile. Don't need two Lindberghs. Swing 8, -2 one of the characters. And now we swing 5/5. You guys will see me go through a thought process in the game, and I'll narrate the thought process, but it takes me a minute to come to this conclusion. I don't swing with the Koala just yet. I KO both of them with Sabo. I clear his board. I have a full board and 1 life, so I'm feeling pretty good. I'm looking here. I'm waiting to end my turn. I'm assessing the situation, and I realize that there's nothing he can do next turn to win, and so I attack him. And that decision right there is what will allow me to win this game, because if I didn't do that, what he does on this turn would prevent me from winning the game. These are the micro decisions you have to make. Am I going to die next turn? No. I need to pressure as much as I can because I'm Belo Betty. Because the chance that I die the turn after that, virtual certainty. Yep. He could have done all that. He could have cleared my board in the exact same way. And I'm left with 2 6 costs. However, even if he did that, even if I didn't swing with Koala, there's still a pivot point. I can search for Dragon. You see me doing the math here. And then you see me realize that I got 1 more slot open. I'm now looking to see what he returned to his hand with Law. I find the dragon. I play the dragon, and now you're looking at 9, 9, 10, 12 to get out of with no blockers, and none of his triggers can hit me. So those were the 4 games that I wanted to go over. Incredibly high-end opponents. The decision making that you saw, and what I have found the most success with, which is surprising, has been to try and control their board. You have to get like your small licks into their face so that you're not trying to go for lethal when they're at 5 life, because you just won't be able to get there. But the pieces that remove their pieces, like Lindbergh and Sabo and Kuma, those are the pieces that you need to find on top of playing on curve, which feels so obvious. Like, yeah, if we're not playing on curve in an aggressive deck, it's gonna be harder to win. But against Doflamingo specifically, if you don't play something early and you only play one thing on your 4-Don turn, as you saw during one of those games, Law was just able to bounce it, and even on my 6-Don turn, there's not really much I can do. I can play a Koala into a 4-cost, and they can again bounce that 4-cost, so I took my own life to play one character and draw, in that situation, draw 3 cards, but because you're getting the one bounce back to your life, or from your field to your hand. The Doflamingo matchup is incredibly difficult. You can high roll, they can low roll, and that's what the first game looks like, where you're like, wow, why is this even difficult? Or you can see nothing that you need to see, and that's what the second matchup was. I saw absolutely nothing. The third matchup, there was a little bit more interaction in me clawing my way back, and he had the double Law, so he bounced my blocker back, but I was positioning myself to be able to have three characters of cost 7 or higher on the board, with 2 dragons and a Sabo. So I was positioning myself to be very scary and potentially go for game, but they were much faster than me, and I was not able to have any sort of early establishment. But don't give up. Games can turn in a second, and with a little better luck, maybe I could have had that game. And then a game like this, where you make decisions to control the board that, like, Sabo really paid off for me, but there easily could have been a scenario where he drops Weevil instead, and then that decision that I made to grab Sabo is not nearly as good a decision because he doesn't KO both characters. So yeah, it's a difficult matchup for sure, and you know what? Everyone have a great day. I'm done talking about Doflamingo.